Welcome to Light Novel Sound, where we bring stories to life. Get ready for an epic journey through Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, a story filled with action, mystery, and mind-blowing twists. A huge thank you to Sing-Shong for crafting this incredible story. If you enjoy this audiobook, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin. Chapter 21. Episode 5, Shadow Keeper, 3. Hyung. This. Right after Lee Gil-young discovered the treasure box, I blocked his little mouth. Wait. The world of ways of survival was relentless. The constellations enjoyed the adversity of the characters and added obstacles in the scenarios just to fuck with humans. Things saying, "catch me," usually contained traps, and even system messages couldn't be trusted. The treasure trove doesn't just contain treasures. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is disappointed. Abyssal Black Flame Dragon. He had wanted me to die for a while. Anyway, I waited. Shortly afterwards, shadows started to emerge around the treasure chest. It was the ground rats. They brought something through the tunnel, through it, and exchanged information. Huaruruk. Once a certain number of ground rats gathered, the number of lights illuminating the surroundings increased. It was black fire, flames made with black ether. It was said that this place was the core of Darkroot, which was why it had so much black ether to burn. At that time, someone's voice was heard. "It is all because of Yo Sangasai." There was no need to say who he was. It was a voice I would know at once. I gripped the shoulder of the surprised Lee Gil-young tightly. It wasn't time yet. "Because of me, what do you mean by that?" In the dim light, there were two people captured by the ground rats. They were tied up tightly by branches that came up from the ground. If Yo Sanga hadn't taken the subway, the situation wouldn't be like this. Why does the subway matter now? How could she accept all this nonsense? Maybe Yo Sanga was a saintly person. Or maybe the sponsor behind her was a saintly person. To that, Yo Sangasai, you ride a bicycle all the time. Han Myungo's voice shook as he wrote gibberish. Yo Sangara's tone was cold. "Wait a minute. Were you the one who stole my bike?" What is this person? I clearly told you that I would drive you in my car. You should know how to accept favors. Answer me. Did you steal my bike? All of a sudden, the situation made sense. This was it. It was why a person who drove a Mercedes-Benz S-Class took the subway line 3. Well, it wasn't strange. There were quite a few men who had their eyes on Yo Sanga, not just at the company but at Gumho Station as well. In fact, Yo Sanga was a worthy person. Her atmosphere was warm and she knew how to flatter people. The constellation demon-like Judge of Fire hates the character Han Myungo. Han Myungo's face was so red that it could clearly be seen in the dim lighting. It looked dangerous. Yes, shit. I did it. So what? Why are you talking like it isn't a big deal? You took someone else's things, it is theft. Theft? Shit, don't talk bullshit. You should have just got on my car from the beginning. The constellation prisoner of the golden headband hates this trivial argument. I didn't mean to do this, but there was no other way now. I quietly gripped the thorn. I didn't ask you just one thing. I continuously asked to take you home, but you kept fucking rejecting me. I threw the thorn as hard as I could. The thorn scratched the corner of Han Myungo's mouth and continued into the darkness. Uwak! What? The constellation prisoner of the golden headband is pleased. 100 coins have been sponsored. Doc Jisai. Yo Sanga called out to me. But I wasn't looking at them. Kuu. Across the habitat of the ground rats, the darkness was split apart by the thorn. Then that damn guy came. There was no way it wouldn't be in Darkroot. Dark Keeper could appear. The sub-scenario has been updated. Sub-scenario Kill the Guard has begun. Like slaves surrendering to a king, the terrified ground rats fell to the ground. A dark figure appeared in the dim light. A tentacled monster reminiscent of a god of death. Li Gilyung's complexion deteriorated sharply. If, Hyung, that. It is okay. Eventually, Li Gilyung fell to the ground and started retching. It wasn't strange. A lot of pressure was felt just looking at it from afar. The cockroaches crawling around Long had their stomachs exploded. Li Gilyung, who was connected to the cockroaches, would have suffered considerable mental damage. Gilyung, how many more times can you use diverse communication? I think I can do it 1 or 2 more times. I understand. Then rest here for a while. I left Gilyung leaning against the side and approached Yosanga and Han Myungo. The panicked Han Myungo was struggling. Oh Huck! What is this? I took the Swiss knife and cut the branches binding the two of them. I only moved the knife a few times. Then the part of the branch that it touched abruptly corroded and the blade melted away. Yes, this was the power of a demonic species. Stay back, I said while raising a weapon made of the spine of a ground rat. The grade 7 demon-type species, Dark Keeper. Among the many monsters that appeared since the start of the destruction, the demon species were toxic. In fact, the treasures of the ground rats were close to tributes to the demon. Even if it was the same grade, the demon species were different from other monster species. The Dark Keeper has received the favor of the Demon King. It follows. Kam Yun. Dr Yitur. The demon species had their own language, worshipped different demon kings and inherited some of the power of the Demon King through Dark Root. The Dark Keeper has emitted fear. The exclusive skill Fourth Wall has neutralized most of the fear effect. Therefore, killing one demon meant becoming the adversary of their Demon King. Yitor. I didn't know what it was saying, but the situation didn't look good. I didn't want to fight if possible. Mother. Yosanga. She still hadn't left? I told you to stay back. That monster just said mother. I thought for a moment about what this meant. No, wait a minute. I think, K-Carrot, Yemerin? This is the pronunciation? Akitu. For a moment, I thought I was mistaken. But I didn't hear wrong. Kalitu. Surprisingly, the Dark Keeper nodded at the end. The character Yosanga has activated the Interpreter LV3 skill. Oh my god, she wasn't only good at Spanish. Let's see what would happen. What is he saying? That, it keeps saying become mother. Become mother? The Dark Keeper cried out again and pointed to Yosanga. Kalitu. Yosanga had a tearful face. Mother? I'm not married yet. The Dark Keeper pointed at Han Myungo this time. Kalitu. Han Myungo turned pale as he wiped his mouth. Why am I the mother? Father. The Dark Keeper's tentacles rose. Pushu. Oof. One of the tentacles entered his mouth and Han Myungo turned black. There was the sound of something moving down Han Myungo's throat. That's right. This was what it meant to become the mother. I belatedly recalled that the demon species conceived their young in the body of other species. Yosanga-sai, you don't plan to have a child yet, right? Of course. Yosanga immediately understood the words and stepped back quickly. I swung the ground rat spear and tore at the tentacles attached to Han Myungo. The Dark Keeper roared angrily. Kalichuo. Fushu. Tiong. The tentacles of the demon species were gradually breaking the ground rat spear. Even the stone hog thorn, which broke through the stomach of an ichthyosaur, would have been destroyed the moment it was stuck in a demon's body. Before I knew it, Han Myungo was far away while Yosanga looked at me. Is there a chance? Her eyes seemed to be asking me. To tell the truth, I didn't have a chance. Pushu. Pushu. Tiong. After a few strikes, the ground rat spear was almost destroyed. The hand holding the spear was in pain. The monster guarding the treasure chest couldn't be caught, just like the ichthyosaur of Dongho Bridge. That's why the original plan wasn't to deal with this monster but to obtain the treasure chest after it disappeared. But as always, plans existed for things to go wrong. Dokibi. Are you watching? You were. You knew. The Dokkibi showed up in the darkness. I didn't know his name, but he seemed to be a cousin of Bihyung. There should be some mail for me by now. I want you to hand it over quickly. He hit. It isn't my responsibility. It is Bihyung's thing. Right now, you are taking Bihyung's place. Don't you see the constellations complaining? The constellation prisoner of the golden headband wants to scold the Dokkibi Biryu. The constellation demon-like judge of fire threatens the Dokkibi Biryu. The Dokkibi Biryu gulped. Oh, okay. Instead, it is just this once. I think it will be interesting. The Dokkibi muttered something and the summoning began. The item has arrived from the exchange. The item Broken Faith has been acquired. The brokerage fee was exempted due to the effect of the contract. Broken Faith. The item bartered for the Ichthyosaur core, which was registered on the Dokkibi Bag exchange, had finally arrived. Kick. The Dark Keeper saw the item coming out of thin air and laughed. No wonder it was laughing. All I received was a D-grade item. It was a knife broken in half. The item is too old to use. The durability will be poor and it will be difficult to achieve any performance. Even the Dokkibi who gave him the item was giggling. How can you fight with that old thing? And it can't be used if you don't have a special skill. I knew that much. I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't know. Sigh. I sucked in a breath and concentrated my mind. Kain! The hilt started trembling greatly. Biryu shouted with shock. How? It was natural to be surprised. It was because this was a skill I bought from his friend for a huge 10,000 coins. Blue ether started to settle slowly on the surface of the broken blade. White pure star energy. After killing the Ichthyosaur, I bought this skill from Bihyung. There were a few flaws compared to other superior energy techniques, but they weren't something that could be obtained for the time being. Broken Faith has responded to your star energy. Blade of Faith is activated. Shortly afterwards, a brilliant white virtual blade sprang up from the edge of the broken blade. Broken Faith. Its real performance was revealed when star energy was injected into it. Pushuk. The number of tentacles increased by dozens and covered my field of view. I wouldn't be safe from these attacks with my current stamina level. It was scary. But now there was a chance. Kain! It was because the Blade of Faith was the best quality weapon when it came to demon species. Pachu-chu-chu-chu. The tentacles touched by the blade were oxidized and cut off. The Dark Keeper let out a terrible scream as its tentacles were destroyed. I felt magic power draining out, but I wasn't in a hurry. Sukikak. I calmly moved the blade. I missed the tentacles many times because he didn't have the fighting senses skill and I didn't have the swordsmanship training skill, so the way I wielded the blade was terrible. It was natural. I was a reader, not a swordsman. And a reader fought in the manner of a reader. The attribute effect has improved your memories of the pages already read. The pages of Ways of Destruction flashed in my head. The Dark Keeper's attack pattern is simple. Unconditionally, the tentacle on the upper right will first. After the attack, a single tentacle at the bottom. Its tentacles regenerate, but it will take a few minutes. I read diligently and used what I had read. Ku-ah! The Dark Keeper shrieked as its tentacles were cut. On the other side of my field of view was Lee Gil-young. The young boy looked at me with awed eyes. Unfortunately, unlike his wishes, I wasn't the main character in this world. But I was confident of at least one thing. Ta! Mean. Da! The Dark Keeper muttered as it barely managed to pull itself together from its shock. I didn't ask, but Yosanga muttered from behind me in a quivering voice. How do you know all my weaknesses? This was what it meant. I gave an answer in a light manner. I usually read a lot of books. I knew more about this world than anyone else. Chapter 22. Episode 5, Shadow Keeper, 4. Maybe we would have fought for a long time. The exclusive skill bookmark can now be activated. The number 2 bookmark has been activated. The level of the bookmark skill is low, shortening the activation time. Activation time, 1 minute. Well, I had this. Otherwise my bones might be torn off my bones or my blood might clot. Your understanding of the character is low, so only a part of the character's skill is activated. Weapons training LV.1 has been activated. But it didn't. To be exact, I couldn't afford it. I used all the powers I had. I squeezed out all my strength and ran through the tentacles. Sukak! The landscape around me flashed by. The only thing left was the afterimage of a sharp white light and the sense of cutting something. Your understanding of the character Lee Hyun-sung has increased. The number 2 bookmark has been disabled. I felt like I had lost strength. I had poured everything out in one blow. Then after a while, I heard a trembling voice in the air. See constellations. Did you all see it? I didn't see wrong? It was the appearance of Dokibi Biryu, who had forgotten his duties. In fact, it wasn't strange to be surprised. A few constellations are doubting their eyes. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is flaring fiercely. It was a powerful grade 7 demon lying down with damaged tentacles in front of me. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband pulls his hair as if he is pleased. 500 coins have been sponsored. The severed tentacles lay on the ground and the surrounding ground rats had long been killed or fled in the aftermath of the fight. Only the Dark Keeper lay breathing roughly on the ground, its lips twitching. Key! 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 Originally, the grade 7 demon was an enemy that I couldn't cope with. Thus, I was prepared. I wasn't as strong as Yo Jong-hyuk and I didn't have a good sponsor like Lee Hyun-sung. The obsessive-compulsive constellations praise your readiness. 200 coins have been sponsored. It was just that the information I had was more advantageous than others. But sometimes, information was more powerful than anything in the world. Kying! The very result of that information was the white light sword now in my hand. An ether blade in the beginning scenarios, see constellations. Is this a true story? Fortunately, I didn't have to explain it as the Dokibi was in full swing. Ether blade. It was the flagship technique of the incarnations supported by the highest level sponsor. The technique was often called energy blade in Murim novels. To be exact, it isn't a real ether blade. The real one is much stronger than this. That's right. Strictly speaking, it is broken faith that has absorbed the white pure star energy and made the blade. Looking at the Dokibi, he wasn't a complete idiot. Amazing. There is this guy in that brat Bi-hyung's channel. As if waiting for this, the blade of faith turned off. Broken faith's durability has run out. This item is no longer available. It was a pity, but it did its part. Give me the compensation for finishing the sub-scenario. That's right. W8. Biryu hurriedly entered something in the air and a message soon popped up. You have met the conditions to clear the sub-scenario. You have earned 500 coins. A handful of constellations admire your scenario. The reward was smaller than I thought. It was natural. It was because I haven't killed the Dark Keeper. By the way, are you not going to kill that guy? Biryu looked at me with expectant eyes. I let out an exhausted breath and glanced at the Dark Keeper on the ground. Then I kindly said, I have a non-killing ideology. A non-killing? I'm not someone who kills easily. The constellation demon-like Judge of Fire admires it. 100 coins have been sponsored. Of course, it was a lie. The constellation's secretive plotter is smiling slyly at you. 100 coins have been sponsored. The bewildered Biryu stammered. But won't the reward be great if you kill this guy? You will be the first to kill a grade 7 demon and I will give you 7,000 coins. Do you know how big 7,000 coins is? I won't kill it. I need to open the compensation box, so please step aside. I removed the irritating Biryu from in front of me. The Dark Keeper wasn't the real reason I came here. So, Puuk, the grade 7 demon, Dark Keeper, was killed. What? The dokeeper who looked like it was so funny he would die, and the dark keeper who died with a knife in his chest. Then. Ha ha, ha 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 hat. And now I can be strong. Kim Dokja, you son of a bitch. You didn't know this. Han Myungo was the one holding the knife. I had a rough idea of what happened. Then explosive messages were heard in my ears. A grade 7 demon has been hunted for the first time. An impossible feat has been accomplished. You have earned 8,000 coins. Contribution, Kim Dokja, Han Myungo. Perhaps these messages were also shared with Han Myungo. I only received a few coins because I didn't deal the finishing blow, but I could see Han Myungo dying with happiness at the messages. Non-killing ideology? Stupid guy. What is killing in this burning world? There can't be a person like you. You know. Then Han Myungo stopped. Now he knew what he had done. The grade 7 demon Dark Keeper has been killed, and the demon King Asmodeus has noticed the murderer's presence. The demon King Asmodeus will chase the one who dealt the finishing blow until they are dead. The demon King Asmodeus has put a terrible curse on the person who dealt the final blow. Final blow, Han Myungo. What? What is this message? Han Myungo cried out fearfully. The constellation's secretive plotter admires your wickedness. Ah, didn't I tell you? I intentionally didn't kill it. The constellation's secretive plotter has recommended your scenario to Starstream. Han Myungo stared into the air like he had lost his soul. The curse of the demon King Asmodeus was the most terrible thing for a killer. I didn't know what it was, but it was surely terrible. I looked back and saw Lee Gil-young and Yo Sanga looking this way with bemused expressions. I smiled as if nothing had happened. We'll open the rewards together. After a while, we searched through the treasures and pulled out one each. I got this. I have this. Yo Sanga and Lee Gil-young found a small bracelet and old shield respectively. Magic Power Recovery Bracelet. Old Iron Shield. They were both D-grade items, but it was better than nothing. The Magic Power Recovery Bracelet was a useful item for everyone, and the Old Iron Shield would be good for Lee Hyun-sung. It was difficult to ignore the iron in the name. This iron was much harder than Earth's iron. Yo Sanga spoke with slight disappointment. It is less than I thought. Less. Her words weren't wrong. It was too shameful to call this a treasure trove. Yo Jong-hyuk. The guy who left yesterday had probably gone through this place. He knew he would be tired fighting the demon, so he took a chance and stole the treasure. In the end, we were robbing a place that was already robbed. It is okay because the main thing is still left. I looked at a black box in the center of the warehouse. We didn't waste any more time and opened the box. The thing in the box was a stove. It was small enough to fit into a pocket, and it was shameful to call it a stove. Magic Power Stove. As expected, it was still here. This item was in fact the key item in this sub-scenario. Magic Power Stove can only be used once per person. Obviously, Yo Jong-hyuk had taken one, so there were 2 Magic Power Stoves in total. What is that thing? Well, I think I know a bit about its purpose. I purposely trembled, activated the stove with magic power, and raised a dead ground rat's leg. It was funny since it didn't fit the size of a plate of food, but in 5 seconds, a remarkable change happened to the leg of the ground rat. Wow! A delicious smell. There was a sweet smell, and the leg of the ground rat changed to a golden color. Meat! Lee Gil-young cried out excitedly. Yo Sanga asked urgently. See, can we eat this? I'll try it first. I grabbed the greasy hind leg and dug into the flesh. The juices ran from the flesh. I forgot to chew and closed my eyes. Tasting it was different from reading it in the book. A few constellations are drooling. The constellations have sponsored you 100 coins. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon has swallowed his saliva. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is biting his nails. Times. The messages continuously popped up. Indeed, eating broadcasts were the best. Everyone was united in front of food. Eat it. I think it is okay. The two people rushed towards the meat as soon as I spoke. They hadn't had a proper meal for 3 days, so they would be quite hungry. Han Myungo recovered and came over hesitantly. Dr. Sai, I went crazy for a second. Eat. Don't worry about the other thing. Thank you. You will become a ghost after eating. What? Han Myungo's complexion turned as white as death. I said it like a joke, but Han Myungo really would die. Asmodee's pursuit was hard for even Yo Jonghyuk to overcome. We each took one leg and started to eat. We were eating meat together because we were hungry after everything that started. Humans couldn't help it. Everyone ate the meal in silence. Was it due to the light spreading gently from the magic power stove? I was feeling a bit sentimental. Killing something and eating it in order to live. This was the life of a human. It had been like this so far, but I wondered why it felt so fresh. Suddenly, I looked up and met Yo Sanga's eyes. Yo Sanga came to her senses and suddenly cried out. I'm pathetic. Hey! Dr. Sai worked so hard and I am just eating like a pig. I was no help at all. No, Yo Sanga Sai. That. But how does Dr. Sai know all this? You know how to cook a beef den. That. Indeed. It must be because you read fantasy novels, right? Really, I didn't know the world was going to be like this. My silly self was just memorizing Spanish. I felt somewhat strange when I heard Yo Sanga say this. I opened my mouth to comfort her. It is because Yo Sangasai studied foreign languages that you learn the language of the demon species. Of course, it wasn't very helpful. I see. Thank you, Dr. Sai. I smiled at Yo Sanga and got up from where I was sitting. The party was immersed in eating again. I took a break and headed for the back of the party. In fact, the magic power stove was important, but my real purpose was a separate item. I looked closely at the black box that contained the magic power stove. It was this. There was no doubt about it. Yo Jonghyuk, who took the magic power stove, probably didn't know about it. The real treasure of the warehouse was this black box. In the original story, Yo Jonghyuk only knew about this after the 6th round of regression. Who was the first to discover this? Was it Heavenly Maid Hori? Well, it was hard to remember. It wasn't accurate, but it was probably something like this. Over there. There are strange boxes in the early areas. If you put something in there. At this time, I met Yo Sanga's eyes. What is the box for? Here? This. Yo Sanga said as she looked at the box. There were unknown characters written on the box. Could she read them? Random item box. Damn. This was why foreign language proficiency was important. So that is what it means. I was a bit embarrassed. Yo Sanga cried out. Quickly use it, Doikasai. Is it okay? Nod. Lee Gil-young nodded vigorously. You don't need to worry about us. All the items obtained here are yours. That is obvious. Yes, I was caught, so let's do it quickly. Then I will use it well. A few constellations are nodding at your decision. I took the nucleus of the grade 7 demon from my pocket. I had cut it from the dead body of the Dark Keeper. In addition, I took out Broken Faith, which had run out of durability. According to the original plot, the use of this box was simple. Who knew? There would be a limited edition coin item. I placed the demon core and Broken Faith into the box. You can't believe me words? Is it real? Put sub-items in there and close the box. In fact, I didn't know what would happen when I put in these 2 items. But I was certain that something huge would come out. A top item will unconditionally come out. A moment later, a dazzling light burst out from the closed box. Chapter 23. Episode 6. Judgment Time, 1. The Limited Random Items Box. According to the setting of Ways of Survival, This was a coin item that was sold as a limited edition in a past scenario. Ah, no, why is this thing here? The alarmed Biryu shouted belatedly. It was banned immediately after release. According to the original Ways of Survival, the setting of this item was quite complicated. This coin item was released long before the 8612 planetary scenarios began. It was a product that was forced to be banned by the Starstream Administration Bureau. If sub-items were put it would unconditionally spit out a top item. This would have a tremendous impact on the balance of the scenarios. In addition, the price of one item box was a huge 1 million coins. The constellations were angry at this ridiculous billing policy, and the stupid Dokibi who invented this item was fired from the Administration Bureau. See constellations. It is like this. I don't know why it is here. Hit. Broadcast end. #BI7623 channel has temporarily closed. The delirious-sounding Biryu closed the channel and the voices of the constellations disappeared. I regretted not being able to see the reactions of the constellations, but it couldn't be helped. Do. I looked down at the vibrating box. The random draw was about to start in earnest. A sword-type item will be awarded for putting in the same type of items. The random draw has started. The limited edition random item box randomly spat out items of a higher rank related to the item you put in. There was a chance for anything from a C grade to a SSS grade item to come out. In the end, it was all up to chance. The offered items are related to a certain constellation. The probability that an item associated with this constellation will appear is greatly increased. It was an unexpected message. But it didn't seem to be a disadvantage for me. Both my hands were sweating. I hadn't been so nervous when I bought a random chance item in an online game. Please let it be an A rating. A top-rated item has appeared. The number of available random item boxes is 0. The box soon stopped trembling and the faint light subsided. I looked around at Yo Sanga and Lee Gil-young, whose eyes were shining. Shall we open it? Yes. We opened the box. Wow. Lee Gil-young was so surprised that he screamed. By the way, it really was amazing. A luxurious silver guard and a white blade. The shape was somewhat similar to Broken Faith. I immediately checked the item information. Item information. Name, Unbroken Faith. Rating, Star Relic. Description. In the past, it was the sword of the hero Kaizenix, who led the Gruzia during the Great Demon Age. The great ether dominance of Kaizenix allowed him to create a blade of faith that contained fire, darkness, and divine power respectively. As an additional option, it increases strength and stamina level by 2. I was speechless. No, was this real? It wasn't a simple alphabet rating but a star relic item? Dr. Sai. Doesn't it look like a huge item? It really was a huge item. In the world of Ways of Survival, the star relics were the only items excluded from the ratings table. It wasn't just because they had a strong performance but because these items were special. Every star relic contained the power of a living constellation. The difference in performance varied depending on whether the constellation was the hero of a certain world and how much awareness they had. However, they contained the power of a constellation, so the relics had tremendous value. In addition, it raised the level of his strength and stamina by 2. When taking into account that a grade items increased the total stats value by 1, it must be at least a S-grade item. Yo Jonghyuk hadn't obtained an item like this yet. I looked around at Yo Sanga and Lee Gil-young. I can really have it? Of course. It naturally belongs to Dr. Sai. Yo Sanga responded in advance to his repeat question. Lee Gil-young also nodded eagerly. I looked at Han Myango, but he was just eating the leg of a ground rat with a stupid expression. He was muttering unknown things to himself. I thought he would insist on having the item. It was strange. You have acquired a star relic. The owner of the star relic is curious about you. The message showed that the constellation existed somewhere. Later, I would open up ways of destruction and look for it. Then we should go back. There are plenty of ground rats out there, so we can go back with just the magic power stove. But how do we get back? It won't be a problem to leave with Giliang's power. Use diverse communication and... However, Li Giliang's expression wasn't bright. Hyung, Hey! There aren't any insects nearby. Come to think of it, the insects around here had burst from the pressure when I was fighting the Dark Keeper. It was a problem I hadn't thought about. There really isn't one? Some of them should still be alive. If we move for a bit and use the ability. There were so many insects in the world that I didn't have any sympathy for the few who died. But Li Giliang still had a dark expression. Well, there is one I can actually call. Li Giliang closed his eyes and started concentrating. Dr. Sai, isn't this a bit strange? Li Giliang's eyes were gradually losing focus. Then blood flowed down from his nose. Giliang! All of a sudden, there was a loud vibration from above them. Dust started falling down. The vibration was coming from above ground. At this moment, goosebumps appeared on my skin. Kuong! Giliang! Li Giliang! Wake up! Yi, Hyung! Li Giliang's eyes returned to normal. Giliang, stop the skill. Quickly! The surprised Li Giliang stopped the skill and the vibration subsided. I sighed with relief. There were incredibly dangerous monsters running around above ground. There were numerous high-rated monsters, including the Grade 7 rhinoceros. Among these monsters was the Insect King. It was obvious a type of insect just based on the name. You really? I placed my hand on Li Giliang's head and didn't say anything. He was about to call an Insect King from above ground. Was he Fabre? We almost got buried here. For the time being, seal this skill. Don't use it unless I tell you to. Understood? Yes. Li Giliang replied in a sad manner. Now there was no choice but to wait. We will get lost in the darkness. Let's wait a bit longer and move when small insects appear in the vicinity. It was easy to enter, but the edge of darkness was a very dangerous place. It was a place where someone could disappear for a day or two if a little mistake was made. Then Yo Sanga raised her hand. If it is just going back, I think I can fill in for Giliang. How? I was going to ask if she would converse with the edge of darkness but stopped because it seemed sarcastic. Yo Sanga replied in a slightly uncertain tone. I have a similar skill. When I thought about it, I still didn't know Yo Sanga's attribute and sponsor. What is the skill? That, it is a complicated skill to untangle. Untangle? Excuse me, can I ask what Yo Sangasai's attribute is? Yo Sanga wasn't a character in the novel, so I didn't know her attribute. It was like Li Giliang and Han Myungo. That. Yo Sanga made a difficult expression. It wouldn't have been so frustrating if I could use character list on Yo Sanga. I tried to use character list once again as a test. The exclusive skill, character list, is activated. This person isn't registered in character list. Indeed. But there was one more message. Currently collecting information about the corresponding figure. It was a message that never existed before. Come to think of it, I heard a system message when Yo Sanga used the interpreter skill. It wasn't something that was originally heard. Was it possible for the character list to be updated after some time? Perhaps. I organized my thoughts and decided to let Yo Sanga go. Forget that I asked. By the way, nice work. In the future, don't let other people know about your personal attribute. That's not it. I trust Doikasai. Well, Yo Sanga's appearance said otherwise. At the moment, I got an idea. Can Yo Sanga tell me about the nature of your sponsor? Yo Sanga bowed her head. I'm sorry. The words barely escaped from her trembling lips. Based on this level, it was possible that she made some type of promise in the contract with her sponsor. Perhaps there was a life constraint in respect with the spilling of information. I didn't know what sponsor they were, but it seemed they had decided to raise Yo Sanga in earnest. It is okay. I understand. Thank you, really. There was no need to thank me. She couldn't tell me her sponsor, it made my heart tense. It was the desire of a reader who wanted to fill the space between empty lines. Then try using your skill. Soon, a faintly shining thread emerged from Yo Sanga's fingertips and started to stretch out. In fact, I tied up a thread when I got kidnapped. One branch of the thread was connected to me and the other one was connected outside. Maybe it was bound to Lee Hyun-sung or Jung Hee-won. Let's go. There was no reason for Yo Sanga to have such a skill from the beginning. This was definitely the stigma provided by her sponsor. By the way, it was a thread to escape the labyrinth. This, somehow, I thought it was a constellation I knew. #BI7623 channel is open. I started hearing messages from the constellations again. A number of constellations have put a claim on the channel's transmission system. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is curious about what came out of the random item box. Ah, they haven't seen it? What a pity. Damn. That bastard messed with my channel, heart. Did you stay well while I was away? And the nice, no, a familiar voice was heard. Bi-hyung. You did such great things while I was gone. Was it because of me that you couldn't come back? Yes, it isn't unrelated. I got a warning from the Administration Bureau because the advertisement went on for too long. Now Bi-hyung's voice was only audible to me. It was the Dokkibi communication that only the Dokkibi could use. Of course, it was an obvious violation of the rules to allow me to use it. I have decided not to care about small things now. And I can go back and forth to the Administration Bureau. Rather, how do you know about the random box? Just, I found it by chance. Damn it. There are still remnants of the Black history left. Why is that box there? Black history? Times. Wait. Surely that absurd coin item wasn't planned by you? As a reader of Ways of Survival, I didn't know this. Damn. If I wasn't greedy at that time. Wow, it really is delicious. What a surprise. Bi-hyung's grumbling was cut off by Jung Hee-won's cry of admiration. 10 minutes ago, we safely encountered the rest of the party thanks to Yo Sanga's guidance. Fortunately, Jung Hee-won and Lee Hyun-sung kept the boundary until we came back. You will recover a bit after eating. Well, I really think that my better is getting better. Jung Hee-won seemed much better as she swung her shoulders in a test. The meat of the underground species actually contained detoxification components. Did you get a lot of things in there? In addition to the magic power stove. I got a few things. I looked at Lee Hyun-sung and said. Lee Hyun-sung put on and removed the old steel shield that he received from me several times. Now he was polishing the surface again and again. It was like someone with a new car. The character Lee Hyun-sung feels a faint loyalty to you. Jung Hee-won seemed envious of the scene and asked. Is there anything I can use? No. What is that blade? It is mine. Will you distribute the meat to the people? If they have coins. But, you are really stingy. Kim Dokja. Let's say that I have a strong sense of survival. As we were passing around a piece of cooked ground rat, the tunnel ended. The surroundings suddenly brightened and people started to be seen. But the atmosphere was weird. What was this urgent and bustling mood? There are 20 minutes left until the paid settlement. Prepare the survival fee. I belatedly noticed the time. That's right. It was already that time. It was amazing that the word paid sounded so scary. Coins please. I don't have enough coins. Please, a few coins. 100 coins wouldn't be a problem if they faithfully participated in the scenario, but such humans were rare. I'll give you 1 million won, no, 10 million won. Who will sell 100 coins? The price of the coins was soaring. It was funny. There was a ridiculous premium on money that had no value until the beginning of the destruction. And there were people smiling as they watched from afar. These guys already had enough coins. It was Cheon In-ho and the Kyeoldu group. A few women flocked towards the gang members and cried out. Why, you said you would give me 100 coins before. Is that so? I don't remember. What? I will think again if you will let me put it in one more time. How about it? Jung Hee-won pulled out her blade and stared at them. Those sons of a bitches. The attribute of character Jung Hee-won is about to blossom. The time had come for Jung Hee-won. It wasn't bad if her attribute blossomed now, She needed some patience in order to get the attribute I was thinking about. Then a system message emerged. After a while, the survival settlement will begin. Save me. Save me. The expressions of the party changed. Lee Hyun-sung bowed his head sadly while Jung Hee-won bit her lip while holding her blade. Everyone knew what the price of the paid settlement was. There was no one here who hadn't experienced it. Doc Jisai. Then Yo Sanga looked at me. Yes. In this world, coins were power. A person with coins could obtain good items or good stats. Coins were everything. Several constellations with scenario recommendations have been added to the channel. The constellation Secretive Plotter is watching your choice. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is watching your choice. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is watching your choice. And I was current the person with the highest number of coins in the station. Chapter 24. Episode 6, Judgment Time, 2. Just as I was about to open my mouth, I heard Cheon In-ho's voice. Oh, Doc Jisai. You came just in time. Cheon In-ho smiled as he found us. I had a foreboding feeling as Cheon In-ho spoke in a loud voice. Doc Jisai has a lot of coins. How much? You are probably the richest one among us, right? The character Cheon In-ho has activated the Insight LV2 skill. The crowd looked my way. See coins? Who has a lot of coins? It didn't take long for all eyes to turn to me. Cheon In-ho, he was a really great guy. Why you are Doc Jisai? Please save me. People panted as they approached. The number of people flocking was estimated to be at least 20. If I gave all these people coins, I would lose 2,000 coins. But if I didn't give them coins, I would become a big villain of Gumho Station. Your understanding of the character Cheon In-ho has increased. Haha, Doc Jisai. I don't have the coins to help all these poor people, but isn't Doc Jisai different? Will you just wait and watch? I sighed quietly. I had seen this trick one or twice. The constellations of the Absolute Good system have defined Cheon In-ho as wicked. I had enough of putting up with him. Save me. Please save me. People burst into tears with the most pitiful expression in the world. Ha ha ha. This story is becoming fun. For reference, there are 10 minutes left. Bi-hyung spoke in a voice that was full of joy and the party looked at me with strange expressions. I let out a short sigh and slowly closed my eyes before opening them again. I see. You want coins? Then I laughed. Why should I? I looked around at the people. The first scenario was original sin. Thus, none of the people here were innocent. That made it more disgusting. Those who trampled on someone else to survive, who couldn't even bear responsibility for their own life. Why? You have a lot of coins. Can't you give us a few? In the midst of the confusion, Cheon In-ho burst out laughing. I expected this from Doc Jisai. From the very first moment Doc Jisai showed up here. Didn't you sell food for coins? If you didn't make them buy food at that time, do you know how many people can survive now? Yes. He is right. Shit. Give me back my coins. Suddenly the atmosphere was flowing against me. Maybe this was what Cheon In-ho wanted. Just a minute everyone. Your actions right now. Doc Jisai isn't such a person. Yo Sanga and Lee Hyun-sung tried to defuse the crowd, but they had already lost their sense of reason. Then Cheon In-ho drove in the last wedge. Dr. Sai, I will give you one last chance. Give the coins back to the people. What if I don't want to? Then the worst will happen. The crowd of 20 people started to approach step by step. Tidus, come. Give me your coins. Nevertheless, no one attacked first. Eventually, a member of the Kyeoldu group came forward. You scum! What are you doing? Kill him! Why are you hesitating when you can snatch the coins after killing him? The man who shouted had a very sturdy physique. I triggered character list and confirmed his information. Character summary. Name, Han Min-sung. Private attribute, Bully, General. Overall stats, Stamina LV8, Strength LV8, Agility LV8, Magic Power LV2. He was the owner of abilities that fit a bully. He wasn't originally at this level, this guy did it. Yes, he acted rashly because he believed in his stats. Kill that bastard. The metal pipe in his hand moved. A steel pipe containing a LV8 strength. The former Kim Dokja might be scared by this threat, but for the current me, it was just ridiculous. Sukak. The man's arm was cut off and rolled across the ground with the iron pipe. Kuak. The blood-covered unbroken faith was emitting a white light. I swept a glance over the quiet people. You are. Everyone turned pale when they saw a Kyeoldu group member being overwhelmed with one blow. Now that I had shown off a bit, it was time to start. Pathetic. Do you really believe this situation is because of me? I looked left and right at each face in the crowd. On the other side, Cheon In-ho was looking confused. In fact, you know very well that it isn't me. Like a sick goldfish, the mouths of the crowd dropped open. I spoke like I was disseminating food to them. You guys are doing this because you are scared. In fact, even though you knew what was wrong and are in a crisis, you are trembling in fear because of them. Haha, look at this, Dr. Sai. What are you saying? It is because they are stronger than you. Their overall stats are higher than you and they have a lot of coins. But everyone, you know what? I took a step towards the crowd and asked. The entire crowd retreated like surprised goldfish. However, they were already in my fish tank. Why are they stronger than you? I took one more step. More than anything, why do they have more coins than you? Is it because they are gangsters? Perhaps. The characters around you are shaken. Even in fear, there were some emotions that could be conveyed with certainty. Questions passed over their faces. See Cheon In-ho Sai, how many coins do you have? Haha, don't you know? Well, I have sold a few and... Do you think it is possible to get that many stats with just that? Really? Cheon In-ho closed his mouth. I turned from left to right, looking at the crowd's faces one by one. When I came to Gumho Station a few days ago, there were 87 people here. But how many people are left now? I don't think there is more than 50 people. Do you know why? They went out as scouts and the monsters. Monsters? Do you still believe that? Then. You fools. Think about it with your brains. Did those people really die because of the monsters? Then why haven't any of the Kyeoldu group bastards died? The area became quiet in an instant. Why is it that they come back stronger? The constellation's secretive plotter nods at your reasoning. Didn't he tell me? The people turned to look at Cheon In-ho. The Kyeoldu group members hesitated. Now it was my turn to drive in the wedge. They said it before. If you kill me, you will get coins. The constellation prisoner of the golden headband pulls his hair in excitement. But how do they know that killing a person will give coins? Why, In-ho Sai? Don't tell me. Shut up. I'm being framed. As Cheon In-ho moved back, the men of the Kyeoldu group pulled out their weapons. The frightened people were weeping. Ha ha ha. There are 7 minutes left. I stepped forward towards the people. If you have any last self-respect left, fight with your own hands. The blade of faith cried out violently. Anger filled the eyes of the people. At least get back what was taken from you. As I waited, the people of the Kyodo group rushed towards me simultaneously. I also ran towards them. Now this world is such a place. The white light moved and people screamed. Then someone shouted. Yes, shit. Sons of a bitches. The people started to move. All in all, they were people who had already killed. Mother. Daying, come here. Do this. Just like what you did on the subway with Mother. Children and mothers. This fucking bastards. There was a middle-aged Indian man. These scum. But they weren't a match. The number of people left in the Kyodo group was high and their fighting power was overwhelming due to all the coins they obtained through human hunting. Or this would be the case if it wasn't for me. Sukakak. The arms and legs of the Kyodo group members who rushed for me flew off. The eerie sensation of cutting off a person's limbs filled my hands. The incapacitated Kyodo group members looked up at me. Spare me. At that moment, someone moved ahead of me and stuck their blade in the fallen Kyodo group members. I said I would kill him. All evolution conditions of the attribute crouching figure have been met. The attribute of character, Jung Hee-won, is blossoming. A dazzling brilliance was rising from her body. I nodded. It was now time. The attribute of Jung Hee-won has blossomed to judge of destruction, hero. A judge to wipe out evil. The best of the three judge attributes woke up from a crouching figure. You have contributed greatly to the attribute of crouching figure. The character Jung Hee-won won't hesitate to be your sword in the future. Rest from now on. Jung Hee-won's eyes were pale blue as she declared. These guys are my share. The character Jung Hee-won has activated the exclusive skill Judgment Time. The absolute good constellations have agreed to the use of this skill. Judgment Time has been activated. Jung Hee-won had a bloody aura around her body as her blade painted an eerie trail. It was a light and precise kendo that moved between the Kyodo group members. Blood spurted everywhere. Kuak! It was a scene of a complete massacre. Of course, Jung Hee-won wasn't the only one fighting. Yo Sanga, Lee Hyun-sung and even Lee Gil-young were protecting their respective positions. But no one was as active as Jung Hee-won. Like a person who was born for murder, Jung Hee-won killed and killed. If I cut off a man's arm, Jung Hee-won stabbed his heart. If I cut off his leg, Jung Hee-won cut his throat. Jung Hee-won took care of all those I left behind. She moved without hesitation, like a person who had been longing for this moment. The area was filled with blood. The only person left from the Kyodo group was Cheon In-ho. However, many parts of his body were injured by the citizens. Jung Hee-won looked at me and I nodded. Cheon In-ho laughed as he looked at me. Who, why you? He never stopped speaking. Jung Hee-won appeared behind Cheon In-ho and cut him from top to bottom. All constellations in the channel feel intense joy. Finally, everyone stopped moving. The fight was over. However, they couldn't feel it. The times when they ate grilled meat, felt the meaning of life, joked while walking and enjoyed moments of peace all seemed like a lie. This damn scenario. Yo Sanga was crying. Lee Gil-young closed his eyes. Lee Hyun-sung bit his lips so hard he was bleeding. Jung Hee-won exhausted her physical strength and was sitting in a pool of blood. Yes, this was the truth of the world. The survival value will be settled. There was the sound of popping all around us. Those who had coins survived. Those who failed to get coins were now dead. And no one was able to save each other. I said to the people, "Wake up, everybody!" Even if I raised my head, the sky couldn't be seen. I stared at the unseen sky for a while, resisting some great fate. The noisy constellations had no answer this time. This scenario has just begun. While everyone was in deep thought, I was thinking about the next scenario alone. My mind was calm as pages flipped one after another. I have obtained everything I needed from Gumho Station. The next stage was Chungnuro. Chapter 25. Episode 6, Judgment Time, 3. The following morning, there were a few changes to Gumho Station. First of all, Han Myungo had disappeared. He had hidden once the fighting started and disappeared after it ended. I didn't know if he was hiding somewhere in the station or was moving to the next station. Let's not worry about him now. I didn't like him from the beginning. In addition, he isn't the only one who disappeared. It was as Jung Hee-won said. After the fight yesterday, the number of people remaining in Gumho Station was almost non-existent. It wasn't that there were few survivors. Rather, more people survived compared to the original plot. However, most of those who survived left the station last night. Perhaps they had their own reasons. Will the remaining people be okay? Yo Sanga asked as she looked at the survivors. Me, Yo Sanga, Lee Hyun-sung, Lee Gil-young and Jung Hee-won. Apart from us 5, there were only 5 people left in this station. Jung Hee-won spoke first. Hey everyone. Are you coming with us? The casual words caused a stir among the people. The representative was a young woman holding a child's hand. We will go separately. We have some coins left. I honestly admired that the mother and child survived the bloody fight. If she had that much strength, they might be able to survive without going with us. Jung Hee-won nodded. Yes. I wish you luck. Once Jung Hee-won turned around, relief appeared on the people's faces. In fact, this response wasn't strange. Certainly, yesterday's situation was a bit shocking. It was understandable. One refused to give out charity while another one brutally killed people, even if there was a reason. To them, Jung Hee-won might not be much different from the Kyeoldu group. I touched Lee Hyun-sung, who was making a stupid expression next to me. Lee Hyun-sung sigh. Ah, yes. Lee Hyun-sung, who was staring at Jung Hee-won with a blank expression, looked at me with surprise. I think I knew what he was thinking. He wondered if she was the woman struck by madness yesterday and killed all the Kyeoldu group. Are the preparations finished? Yep. It is a big rough, but it is finished. There are plastic bottles to be used as water containers, goods to protect from the cold and emergency supplies. Indeed, a soldier was useful in situations like this. It is up to here. If you need anything else. There was nothing else I needed, I wanted to say, but I suddenly thought about something. Oh, can you find me any portable secondary batteries? You are talking about a battery? Why? It was natural to wonder. A smartphone was useless because no signal was available. I replied roughly. I have a place to use it. Lee Hyun-sung said he would look for it and started to search through the things left behind by the Kyeoldu group. Lee Gil-young and Yo Sanga also said they would help. Jung Hee-won looked at me and asked, Are we going now? We're going. She asked naturally, as if there was no question that we would go together. This was Jung Hee-won. It was welcome from my viewpoint. The Judge of Destruction was a talented person who even Yo Jong-hyuk would pay attention to. I have many questions. Not now. Ah really, you are an iron wall. Jung Hee-won lightly punched me and laughed. You have received 1,500 coins from the character Jung Hee-won. This? I am dividing it. I feel too sorry to eat it all alone. I will give it to other people. I understood what she was saying. Yesterday, Jung Hee-won alone killed most of the Kyeoldu group members. In other words, she obtained most of their coins. By the way, I was a bit nervous about this. You don't need to do this. Jung Hee-won didn't know. In fact, I had a lot more coins. I'm not Dr. Sai, you know? She punched my arms a few more times before walking towards the tunnel with her backpack. Finish this off. I'll go ahead and make some arrangements. Don't go too far ahead. There are dangerous sections to go alone. Jung Hee-won waved her hands as if not to worry while wandering away. The constellation demon-like Judge of Fire likes your comradeship. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon smiles slyly. I watched the messages in the air blankly and said, "Did you make a lot yesterday? It must be good." There was no answer. I spoke once again. "Don't keep pretending and tell me. I know you are watching." "Ah, ha ha ha, you caught me?" It was Bi-Hyung's voice. "How much did you earn?" That. I stared silently. Sigh, right. How did you know again? I just can't get over it. Take this. Dokkibi Bi-Hyung has given you 4,500 coins. I thought so. This damn Dokkibi. The constellations don't use the sponsorship system and send it directly to me. I don't know why. I'll give it to you later. Ah, there are these messages as well. Messages suddenly popped up. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is satisfied with your scenario. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is convinced of your judgment. The constellation Secretive Plotter is satisfied with your plan. Times. This was why I didn't get the support messages yesterday. I had been curious because such a great thing happened and I received less income than I thought. Coins possessed, 23,050 C. I invested a lot of the coins I obtained last time into stats and now I had a lot of coins again. It was once again time to improve my stats. Then let's do it moderately. I couldn't open the attributes window so I had to remember the exact level of my stats. First, stamina was important. 1,200 coins have been invested in stamina. Stamina LV 12-Stamina LV 15. The durability of your body has greatly increased. I had no separate passive attack skill so I also raised my strength. 1,600 coins have been invested in strength. Strength LV 11-Strength LV 15. A stronger force will come from your muscles. For agility, it was enough to be able to evade. 400 coins have been invested in agility. Agility LV 10-Agility LV 11. Now you can more a bit faster. I needed to maintain white pure star energy so magic power must be over level 10. 1,200 coins have been invested in magic power. Magic power LV 6-Magic power LV 10. A mysterious energy lives in your soul. I could invest more than this but I purposefully didn't. Once I arrived in Chungmuro, there was another place where I would have to use a lot of coins. Besides, I had spent 4,400 coins just now. It was both easy and difficult to use. If I had been born with decent stats, I wouldn't have to spend so many coins. Someone born with level 1 stamina, in Ways of Destruction, even Li Giliang's stamina would be higher than that. By the way, I forgot, 2 more scenarios are recommended. You are really great. It seems that I will soon be able to upgrade my channel level. I see. I couldn't get the support of a sponsor like other incarnations, so I needed to collect more coins. But the reason why I didn't see the effect of contracting with Bi-Hyung was because his channel was small. The minor constellations weren't enough. In order to gather more coins, it would take more constellations to configure the channel. Once I went to Chungmuro, the environment would be ready soon. If everybody is ready, we will leave. You aren't missing anything? My companions gathered together and nodded. Looking at their nervous faces, all of them seemed to have been enlightened by yesterday. Finally, the journey to Chungmuro began. They had crossed half the railroad lines when the system message popped up. The second main scenario is enabled. Main scenario number 1, meeting. Category, main. Difficulty, E. Clear conditions, cross the tunnel and meet the survivors in the first main base. Time limit, none. Compensation, 500 coins. Failure? The message made me realize that it was really starting. Unlike the first main scenario, the second scenario had a main base. Jung Hee-won asked, "The main base? Where is that?" An answer wasn't required. Another message immediately appeared. The next main base is Chungmuro. Is it Chungmuro? It is only 3 more stops. It was originally like that. Coo 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 coo. The ground rats appeared. There were around 30 ground rats. Jung Hee-won stiffened. Go 3 stops through this. It was Lee Hyun-sung who came forward. I'll take the vanguard. Thanks to the support of his sponsor, Lee Hyun-sung's total stats were now 37. He had earned less coins than me, but he was chasing me. This was the advantage of being born with high stats. If I knew this, I would have done regular push-ups. I'll take the rear, Hyung. Lee Gil-young's total stats were still low, but he was able to use diverse communication more flexibly through steady skill training. Please leave it to me. Yo Sanga made a thread with magic power to block the movements of the ground rats. Her attack ability was low, but her overall stats were similar to Jung Hee-won. Kwajik. Isn't it just a lot of numbers? Finally, there was no need to talk about Jung Hee-won. Compared to Lee Hyun-sung, her total stats were low but her skills were sufficient. There was the exclusive skill judgment time that belonged to the Judge of Destruction. As long as the opponent in front of her was wicked according to the absolute good constellations, Jung Hee-won wouldn't lose. The last ground rat fell down. Lee Hyun-sung held the shield by his side and started sweating. Sigh, this seems to be enough. In fact, this shouldn't have been cleared so easily. No matter how simple the pattern of the ground rats was, fighting 30 of them was tough. I wouldn't be able to annihilate them myself without activating Bookmark. The party had become stronger. They advanced further through the tunnel. Finally, a new platform appeared in front of me. Yaksu Station. By the way, there is nobody? No, that's not it. Yaksu Station was filled with dead bodies and ground rat corpses. Based on the injuries, some of the people were killed by Yo Jong-hyuk, not the ground rats. Keep going. There are 2 stops left. We continued to advance. Anyway, the distance from Yaksu to Dongdae was less than 1 kilometer in a straight line. Once we arrived at the entrance of Dongdae Station, we encountered another group of ground rats and repelled them. We only moved a total of 2 kilometers along a simple path, but the fighting was so tough that the party's fitness dropped quickly. We will take a break here. Sigh, there is 1 stop left. We should just go there and relax. Nobody knows if we can rest or not once we arrive there. Everyone was silent at my words. Certainly, monsters weren't the only dangerous things in this world. I looked around for a moment and said, it seems that the people in this station moved quickly. Some basic necessities might remain. Alright. Then. After hearing basic necessities, Yo Sanga gently raised her hand. Yo Sanga and Jung Hee-won's eyes met. No words were exchanged, but both of them nodded at the same time. Jung Hee-won saw my look and asked me, what is it? Does Dr. Sai want to know? Yo Sanga paled. Hee-won-sai. Ahaha, I'm just joking. Of course, I won't tell anyone. A secret only between women. It would be strange if I didn't know what they were talking about. Human physiology didn't stop even in a world like this. Lee Hyun-sung also opened his mouth. Then I will go to the bathroom. I was surprised for a moment, but there was no reason not to use well-built facilities. This was why the subway was convenient. I'll go with you. It was Lee Gil-young. The 2 people walked side by side. I looked at their rear view and thought they looked like affectionate brothers with a large age difference. Yo Sanga asked me, will Dr. Sai be alone? I will go above ground for a bit. Here? There will be poisonous fog if you go out. Will it be okay? I'm only going for a bit. Jung Hee-won narrowed her eyes at my words. Something is suspicious. Dr. Sai, are you going to eat something good alone? I looked at Jung Hee-won for a moment. It is a man's secret. After a while, I stood in front of exit 6 of Dongdae Station. According to the information I read beforehand, this place was surely. You have been exposed to poisonous fog. The effect of the poisonous rhinos was still visible. This time I didn't buy the Elaine monkey's lungs, so I had to work quickly. I jumped up the escalator to the east while holding my breath. Not long after that, a bronze-colored shining statue appeared. A constellation wearing a straw mat is filled with expectations at your actions. The statue was based on the appearance of a monk who lived in the Mid-Joseon dynasty. I felt an unknown nobility coming from the fact of the monk holding a bamboo stick. I confirmed the name written vertically under the statue. Yujong Samyongdang. Okay, good. There were no signs of anyone yet. I stood in front of the statue, holding my hands together. A constellation wearing a straw mat is delighted with your actions. 100 coins have been sponsored. I didn't hesitate to use white pure star energy to activate the Blade of Faith. A constellation wearing a straw mat is puzzled by your actions. Then I struck the statue of Samyongdang. A constellation wearing a straw mat is appalled by your actions.